join me to cook this gorgeous abula. It consists of amala, stew, ewedu and gbegiri. It was absolutely delicious. So first of all, I'm preparing my meat. So I have my tripe here, which I'm cutting into small bite-sized pieces, and of course I have abodi. I don't know the English name for that. Shaki and abodi, and I'm just going to cut them up and then I'll give them a good wash. I just think cutting is so much easier with scissors, so this is what I'm doing. If I can cut them with scissors, I will use scissors, and I don't have to use a chopping board. Try it and see if you don't already do this. So I'm done cutting the tripe and the abodi, and I've given them a good wash into my pressure cooker and filled with some water, and I'm gonna go ahead and let that boil. So I'm just parboiling first, and now I have my cow tongue, which I love, and I have already peeled the outer bit off. So now I'm giving them a rinse. I'm boiling them separately in a different pot while my other pot parboils. So now I'm onto my goat feet. These are really annoying to wash, but I think they're worth it. They're so good when you cook them thoroughly. So I'm just picking out the excessively ugly and dirty hairy ones and I'm snipping off as much as I can from the viable ones. So yeah, I'm just carefully looking through to make sure that I clean them thoroughly. And I'm just using a toothbrush to scrub because yeah, they can be kind of dirty and I don't want to be eating dirt. So yeah. So after I had done washing them off, I did go ahead and start cooking them off as well. So now on to my stew. So I have onions, scotch bonnet and peppers, and I'm just going ahead to prepare these for blending. You know, that looks like a lot of onions. What do you think? Do you think I'm using too many onions? I tend to use a lot of onions. No harm done. Tastes good anyway. I'm also using some ginger, which I'm peeling there, and I'm gonna add that and blend that too with my other ingredients. Alright, so now back to my meat. So here I have blanched or parboiled my goat foot. I just like to do this because it kind of removes impurities, and I think it makes the meat taste better, smell a bit better as well. So now the same thing with my abodi and shaki. I've blanched those and given them another quick wash, and now all my meat is going together into the pressure cooker so that they can now cook for real with seasoning and things. So here I'm just chopping in my onions. Then in goes my salt, and I'm also gonna add some chicken powder. And some ginger powder. Sometimes I like to add garlic powder, so yeah, I added a lot of ginger powder there. Yeah, it's good. And then, oh yes, okay, more ginger powder. Is that all ginger powder I'm adding there? and then some dried mixed herbs and some all-purpose seasoning as well. Oops. And then some Maggi cubes. So I like to add some fresh herbs, so that is lemon, thyme, and rosemary. And then I give that a good stir together. So now all done, covered up and ready to steam. So I didn't add any liquid there because I wanted to steam in its own fluids, initially at least. So now I'm on to blending my stew ingredients. So I have my plum tomatoes going into the blender there. And then I'm adding my onions, and I'm going to add my peppers and scotch bonnet. And I'm going to give that a good whiz together till it's nice and smooth. So now that that's nice and smooth, I went ahead and poured that into my pot to start cooking off. So now I'm on to preparing my Gbegiri. So I'm using white beans, or I don't know what they're called, but they're white. And I'm using the blender method. Oh God, I don't know. Do you think using your hand to peel or using the food processor method is easier? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. Look at that. I made a mess because I overfilled the food processor. And then I had to clean it up, which was really annoying. And I just don't like the back and forth. I know when you use your hands, you have to refill and strain and refill, a bit like the blender. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Hand peeling or food processor peeling? Which one's easier? I'm not convinced about the food processor. At least it's easier on my nails. That's one thing. So anyway, if you don't know what the food processor method is, it's just putting the beans in a food processor and using the plastic attachment, and then repeatedly straining the peels off after whizzing for a bit. I'm sorry if my explanation was terrible, but I think the video is self-explanatory anyway. So anyway, yeah, I did this for a while. I don't know, I think using your hands is probably easier. So yeah, anyway, I don't want to bore you with the entire process. Once the beans were peeled, I transferred them, or adequately peeled anyway, they're not perfect. I transferred them into a pot to boil with some water. I also added some ground up pepper at this stage before leaving to boil. Oh yes, and I also added some locust beans, which in hindsight I probably shouldn't have added like that, because you will see later that the Gbegiri turns a little bit, it's not bright orange like I like it to be. It was a little bit brown, and that was because I blended in the locust beans, and then also you saw I added crayfish to that, but it still tasted good, so I covered that to cook. Just wanted to show you that my meat was succulently cooked and delicious. So here I have frozen Ewedu. I needed to defrost it really quickly, so I poured in some water and I kind of used a fork to break it up. It worked really well anyway. So now on to starting the cooking of my buka stew, I will call it. So you saw there I added some vegetable oil, some palm oil, and that was a bit hot, and then I added lots of tomato puree to fry that off. So when frying this, I made sure to fry it so that it was well fried. So I fried the tomato puree for a good while, and I made sure I stirred it continually to make sure that it didn't burn or stick to the pan. And once I was satisfied, I was ready to put my cooked stew or cooked pepper. So that's spitting. Does anyone else hate that? I do. Look at that. That painful part, the pain we go through to achieve. So I decided ladling it was too slow. I was going through some very desperate burns there, so I poured it in and stirred. So now the pot has calmed down. There's a lot of oil there, but please, this type of stew needs a lot of oil, and then you can take the oil out later and use it to cook something else. So don't judge the oil, it makes it more delicious. Thank you. So I'm covering that to shield me from the spitting of the stew, and I'll let that cook for a bit. Please don't leave it for too long without stirring, otherwise it could burn. So just come back and stir it every now and then. Okay, so it's been boiling away for a while, so I just went ahead and added some stock from the meat I boiled earlier. After a quick stir, I did a seasoning check, and I decided that it needed more seasoning, so I went ahead and added some more seasoning, salt, Maggi cubes. I added crayfish powder, which is really nice. So now I'm happy with the seasoning. I just covered that up and let that cook for a little longer, about 5 minutes. So here's my frozen Ewedu. When it was suitably defrosted, I transferred it into a little pot with a little water so that can get cooking now. I went ahead and added kon in Yoruba. I think that's potash in English. This is just to enhance the sliminess, the drawness of the Ewedu that we love. And I gave that a good whisk with my fork. For seasoning, I added a little bit of salt and a little crayfish powder, and that's it. So I just closed that to boil for not too long. I like to boil it maybe for 5 minutes on low heat or medium heat. Wait, no, let's say 10 minutes instead, not 5 minutes. My beans has been boiling for about 20 to 25 minutes and it's now soft. It's boiling with locust beans and some crayfish. So I added some more hot water and some palm oil because now it's, this is just to finish it off. I used a hand blender to blend the beans, but I'll be honest, this did not do the trick. After blending it with a hand blender for a while, I did transfer it to a stand-in blender and yeah, blended it till it was as smooth as I could get it. I decided to add more palm oil to the Gbegiri because this was not orange enough for my liking, and as I mentioned earlier, the locust beans and probably the crayfish in it made the color a little bit browner than I would have liked. Oh dear, my Ewedu boiled over because I shouldn't have kept it covered for so long, and yeah, it did continue to boil over. And then I had to really multitask in this cooking, but yeah, the Gbegiri is starting to look much better, and I just made sure that the oil was well incorporated into the beans. Oh my goodness, this was really stressful. By the way, I did add some seasoning to the Gbegiri. I added some salt and I added some crayfish seasoning, but I don't think I showed that. So just in case you were wondering, it is seasoned. So now, just to complete my gorgeous stew, I added my meat. So as I said, it's just some goat feet. There is actually some beef in there. No, there's no beef in there. There's some cow tongue, there's tripe, and there is abodi. So they have been cooked to stupor. Some people might say that this meat is too soft, but I really like my meat just literally falling apart. I'm sorry. Some people like to get their teeth into it. I don't want a lot of effort when eating my meat. So yeah, it's quite soft, but it's not badly soft. So I'm just going to let that cook together for another 5-10 minutes, and then my stew will be done, completed. Oh my gosh, tell me this doesn't look beautiful. Tell me this doesn't look gorgeous, mouth-watering. Oh my goodness. So yeah, of course that's done, and my Gbegiri is also done, and my Ewedu, yes, it's a mess, but it is also done. So now I'm just plating. I have my amala. If you want to see how I make my amala, just let me know. And then I have my Ewedu and Gbegiri there, and yeah, it just looks so beautiful. I want to reach into the screen right now and just have it again. It was genuinely so nice. Every now and then you have to treat yourself to this. Yes, it did taste better even than it looks, I assure you. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope you give this a go. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Bye.